This is Urban Mysteries 404. Beneath the neon glow of modern cities and the quiet rustle of suburban cornfields, there is a different kind of map. One drawn not in ink, but in whispers. We like to believe we live in a world of cold logic and verifiable data, yet we are still haunted. Why is it that in the most technologically advanced nation on Earth, stories of winged omens and skin-shifting predators continue to circulate with such primal intensity? But what if these stories reveal something deeper about society? Behind every urban legend lies a hidden truth about human psychology, acting as a mirror to our collective anxieties. These are not just ghost stories told around a campfire. They are cultural codes, forbidden stories that we use to process the traumas of our history and the pressures of our present. Today, we are uncovering 5 urban legends from the United States. We will peel back the layers of the American dream to find the nightmares that sustain it. Let's dive in. To understand the folklore of the United States, one must understand a nation defined by rapid expansion and a deep-seated sense of restlessness. America is a cultural pressure cooker where the ghosts of a colonial past collide with the anxieties of a hyper-modern future. Urban legends thrive here because of the unique social pressures inherent in the American identity, the drive for individual success, the fear of the outsider, and the lingering weight of historical trauma. In a land that was tamed in a matter of centuries, there remains a persistent fear of the wilderness we displaced and the secrets buried beneath our shopping malls. Whether it is the isolation of the Appalachian Mountains or the sterile anonymity of the suburbs, every landscape in this country carries a specific psychological charge. But to understand these legends, we need to look at what they really reveal about the people who tell them. Legend 1. The Mothman. The legend goes like this. In the mid-1960s, the quiet town of Point Pleasant, West Virginia, became the epicenter of a supernatural phenomenon. It began in November 1966, when 2 young couples driving near an abandoned World War II explosives manufacturing facility spotted a creature that defied description. They described a man-sized figure with a wingspan of 10 feet and, most disturbingly, glowing red eyes set into its chest. As they fled in their car, the creature allegedly took flight, following them at speeds of over 100 miles per hour. For the next 13 months, Point Pleasant was besieged by sightings of this Mothman, accompanied by strange lights in the sky and interference with electronic devices. The sightings culminated in the tragic collapse of the Silver Bridge on December 15, 1967, which claimed 46 lives. In the aftermath, the Mothman vanished, leaving behind a chilling reputation as an omen of impending doom. This legend didn't appear from nowhere. Let's trace its origins. The 1960s were a period of immense social and economic transition for the Ohio River Valley. While the rest of America was looking toward the space age, the coal and manufacturing industries that built West Virginia were beginning to show signs of decline. Researcher John Keel, who spent months on the ground in Point Pleasant, documented over 100 sightings during this period. The specific location of the first sighting, the TNT area, was a decaying relic of the Second World War, representing a period of American history that was literally crumbling. But the real question is, why did this particular story take hold? Every urban legend reflects specific fears. This one is no exception. Psychologically, the Mothman represents omen anxiety, the desperate human need to find a pattern or a warning before a catastrophe occurs. When the Silver Bridge collapsed due to a structural flaw in a single eyebar link, the community was left with a senseless tragedy. The legend of the Mothman provided a narrative framework for that grief. It transformed a mechanical failure into a cosmic event. Folklorists like Dr. Michael Dillon Foster explain that such legends often arise in liminal spaces, where the boundary between the known and the unknown is thin. The Mothman reflects the fear of a world where we are no longer in control of our infrastructure or our destiny. The legend evolved. Here's what it means today. The Mothman has moved from a local West Virginia scare to a global pop culture icon, popularized by the 1975 book by John Keel and the 2002 film starring Richard Gere. Today, the Mothman statue in Point Pleasant attracts thousands of tourists annually, reflecting how we commodify our fears into dark tourism. While a winged humanoid isn't real, the fear it represents is very real, the anxiety of living in a world where disaster can strike without warning. Legend 1 isn't about a monster in the woods. It's about the fragility of the structures we build to keep the chaos at bay. Legend 2. The Skinwalker. The legend goes like this. Deep within the American Southwest, specifically on the lands of the Navajo Nation, there exists a figure of pure dread known as the Yi-Nald-Lushi, or the Skinwalker. The story tells of a person, typically a medicine man or woman, who has turned to the dark side of magic to gain the ability to shapeshift. By wearing the skin of an animal, usually a wolf, coyote, or bear, they can take on its form and strength. These beings are said to run at impossible speeds, mimic the voices of loved ones to lure victims into the dark, and bring sickness or death just by locking eyes with a person. They are the ultimate predators, existing on the fringes of society, hidden within the very communities they terrorize. That's the legend. But there's more to uncover. This legend didn't appear from nowhere. Let's trace its origins. The concept of the Skinwalker is deeply rooted in Diné, Navajo philosophy, representing the antithesis of the beauty way, the path of harmony and balance. For the Navajo, the legend is not a campfire story, but a serious cultural taboo. Many refuse to speak of it to outsiders for fear of attracting the creature's attention. The legends gained mainstream American attention in the 1990s with reports from the Skinwalker Ranch in Utah, where a family claimed to witness unexplainable phenomena, from indestructible wolves to silent craft in the sky. But the real question is, why did this particular story take hold in the broader American consciousness? Every urban legend reflects specific fears. This one is no exception. To the Navajo, the Skinwalker represents the ultimate betrayal of social values, the use of sacred knowledge for selfish, destructive ends. However, to the wider English-speaking audience, the legend has been reinterpreted as a wilderness horror. This taps into a primal fear of the other and the realization that there are parts of the American landscape that remain fundamentally unknowable and unconquered. Psychologists might point to confirmation bias, where every strange noise in the desert or blurred trail cam photo is used to prove the existence of a shapeshifter. It reflects a deep anxiety about our relationship with the land and the cultures we have attempted to marginalize. The legend evolved. Here's what it means today. In the digital age, the Skinwalker has been stripped of its cultural context and turned into a creepypasta trope, often confused with other legends like the Wendigo. It has inspired countless horror films and viral found footage videos on social media. While the supernatural shapeshifter isn't real, the emotional truth is the fear of the enemy within and the unease of being an intruder on sacred ground. Legend 2 isn't about shape-shifting magic. It's about the consequences of breaking the social and spiritual bonds that hold a community together. Legend 3. The Bunnyman Bridge. The legend goes like this. Near Clifton, Virginia, there is a small stone railroad overpass known as Colchester Overpass, but locals call it Bunny Man Bridge. The story claims that in 1904, a bus transporting inmates from an asylum crashed nearby. Most inmates were recaptured, but one escaped. Soon after, locals began finding the carcasses of hundreds of rabbits, neatly skinned and hanging from the bridge. Then, on Halloween night, a teenager was found hanging from the bridge in the same manner. The legend says that if you walk under the bridge at midnight, the Bunny Man, a figure in a white rabbit suit wielding a gleaming axe, will appear to claim his next victim. That's the legend. But there's more to uncover. This legend didn't appear from nowhere. Let's trace its origins. Historically, there was no asylum in Fairfax County in 1904, and no record of such a crash exists. However, the legend has a surprising basis in real events from 1970. That year, Fairfax County Police investigated two separate incidents involving a man in a rabbit suit. In the first, a couple sitting in a car was approached by a man in a white suit with long ears who threw a hatchet through their window, screaming about trespassing. A week later, a security guard spotted a man in a rabbit suit chopping at a porch railing with a long-handled axe. These reports were covered by major newspapers at the time, fueling a local panic. But the real question is, why did this particular story take hold? Every urban legend reflects specific fears. This one is no exception. The Bunny Man represents the suburban nightmare, the fear that the safe, manicured lawns of middle-class America are just a thin veil over madness. The image of a man in a rabbit suit is a classic example of the uncanny, something familiar and harmless, a costume that has been distorted into something threatening. This taps into a primal fear of the unpredictable stranger who refuses to follow the rules of polite society. It also reflects technology anxiety regarding the rapid development of the suburbs in the 1970s, which turned quiet rural bridges into isolated, eerie tunnels for the youth to explore. The legend evolved. Here's what it means today. The bridge has become a site of pilgrimage for teenagers looking for a thrill, leading the local police to implement strict trespassing rules to manage the crowds every Halloween. It has been featured in various media, most notably influencing the eerie tone of films like Donnie Darko. So what's really going on here? While there is no ghost of an escaped inmate, the real-life Bunny Man of 1970 was never caught, leaving an open wound in the local lore. Legend 3 isn't about a ghost in a suit. It's about the terrifying realization that even in the safest neighborhood, you are never truly alone. Legend 4. The Hook Man. The legend goes like this. A teenage boy and girl are parked on a lover's lane late at night, the car's radio providing the only soundtrack to their evening. Suddenly, the music is interrupted by a news bulletin. A serial killer has escaped from a nearby mental institution. The killer is described as having a jagged metal hook in place of his right hand. Terrified, the girl begs to leave. The boy, annoyed, peels away in a cloud of dust and tires. When they arrive at the girl's house and she steps out of the car, she screams. There, hanging from the door handle, is a bloody, chrome hook. That's the legend. But there's more to uncover. This legend didn't appear from nowhere. Let's trace its origins. While the Hook Man is a quintessential piece of American folklore, it gained widespread popularity in the late 1950s and early 1960s. This was the era of the Texarkana Moonlight Murders of 1946, where a hooded phantom killer attacked couples in parked cars. The sheer brutality of these real-life attacks created a blueprint for the legend. The hook itself is a stroke of narrative genius, a cold, industrial object that represents a dehumanized predator. It has been analyzed by folklorists like Jan Harold Brunvand as a cautionary tale for a generation gaining unprecedented freedom through the automobile. But the real question is, why did this particular story take hold? Every urban legend reflects specific fears. This one is no exception. The Hook Man represents gender dynamics and sexual anxiety. In the mid-20th century, the car became a private space for young people, away from the watchful eyes of parents and the community. The legend served as a social handbrake, a warning that sexual exploration could lead to literal dismemberment or death. The hook is a phallic yet destructive symbol, representing a fear of contaminated intimacy. Psychologically, it taps into the fear of the predatory stranger who punishes those who stray from the path of traditional morality. The legend evolved. Here's what it means today. The Hook Man is the grandfather of the slasher genre, directly inspiring films like I Know What You Did Last Summer and the Candyman series. In the modern era, the lover's lane has been replaced by dating apps, but the core fear remains the same: the danger of meeting a stranger in an isolated space. While there is no hook-handed man waiting in the bushes, the moral panic it represents is still used to police the behavior of young people today. Legend 4 isn't about a physical weapon. It's about the sharp, piercing anxiety of growing up in a world that feels increasingly dangerous. Legend 5. The Black-Eyed Children. The legend goes like this: you are home alone at night, or perhaps sitting in a parked car, when there is a soft, persistent knock. You look out to see two children, usually between the ages of 6 and 16, dressed in slightly outdated clothing. They don't look at you directly at first. They keep their heads bowed, asking in monotone voices if they can come inside to use the phone or get a drink of water. An intense, inexplicable sense of dread washes over you. When they finally look up, you see it. Their eyes are entirely black. No iris, no pupil, just two voids of ink. They become more insistent, saying things like, "We can't come in unless you invite us." Most stories end with the witness slamming the door, but the feeling of being hunted lingers for weeks. That's the legend. But there's more to uncover. This legend didn't appear from nowhere. Let's trace its origins. Unlike the ancient roots of some folklore, the Black-Eyed Children, or BEK, is a digital age legend. It can be traced back to 1996, when journalist Brian Bethel reported an encounter he allegedly had in Abilene, Texas. Bethel's story spread through early internet mailing lists and paranormal forums, quickly becoming a global phenomenon. What makes it unique is how it combines old folklore tropes, like the vampiric need for an invitation, with modern creepypasta aesthetics. But the real question is, why did this particular story take hold so firmly in the late 90s and early 2000s? Every urban legend reflects specific fears. This one is no exception. The Black-Eyed Children tap into the uncanny valley, the psychological discomfort we feel when something looks almost human but is slightly off. But on a deeper level, it reflects a fear of predatory innocence. In modern society, we are taught that children are vulnerable and in need of protection. The BEK subverts this by making the child the predator. It also reflects a modern social anxiety regarding the breakdown of community trust. We are taught stranger danger from a young age, and the BEK is the literal manifestation of that warning. The black eyes represent a lack of soul or empathy, reflecting a fear of a younger generation that is connected via technology but emotionally distant. The legend evolved. Here's what it means today. The BEK have become a staple of YouTube horror challenge culture and have been investigated by numerous paranormal reality shows. So what's really going on here? Psychologists point to pareidolia and mass hysteria, where the fear of the legend causes people to misinterpret normal shadows or dilated pupils in low light as supernatural. There is also the influence of popular media, such as the film Village of the Damned, which established the trope of the creepy child in the American psyche. Legend 5 isn't about demons at the door. It's about our fear of the future and the unsettling feeling that the next generation might be something we can no longer recognize or control.